Hello again, this is vlog 3. It's been just over a week now that we've all been kind of locked down and restricted and all that kind of stuff, so about time to do another one and just go over a little bit of what we previously covered very quickly and then go into a new subject, which is nutrition today. So we're going to try and keep it simple, keep it fast. My last one was a little bit longer, so we'll try and keep this snappier if we can. Just going over what we talked about last time. We talked about mindset, we talked about breathing, we talked about hydration, we did a little bit of movement. So hopefully the mindset one's the important one. So if you haven't made your list, your daily list, your weekly list, do it. I still reiterate that point, do it if you can. Okay, not going to waste any time going over that anymore. We're going to go straight into a little bit of nutrition, and I am going to keep this as simple as I possibly can because I like things simple when it comes to nutrition and what you should be doing. And this isn't just about what you should be doing because you're locked down. These are hard and fast rules for life. These are things that you should be doing regardless of being locked down and restricted. A little bit of movement. So let's jump straight into it. What should you be eating? What should you be having? We've all heard the term balanced diet, and there's just a lot of truth in that. We need a good balanced diet to keep us healthy. Lots of variation, lots of nice colours to eat, lots of different things. But it's when that freedom of balanced diet becomes a problem, where guys in the general public can take a liberty a little bit by, I can eat what I want, so I can eat crisps and I can eat chocolate and I can drink alcohol and all that kind of stuff because it's there, it's all there on the shelves. Well, maybe not the alcohol at the moment because it's still clear, I believe, but you've got to put yourself some hard and fast rules in place. So as I said, I'll try and keep it as simple as I possibly can. Number one, what should you eat? Protein. Ideally you should be eating protein every meal. And again, a lot of people won't agree with that. A lot of there's some vegetarians and vegans out there, and that's absolutely fine. I can go into that in a different vlog if you want. But for the time being, my belief and my training and what's worked for me personally is protein, and that's gives me lots of energy, gives me the ability to work out when I work out, and makes me sleep better, and all of the above. So. Ideally protein in every meal. How much protein? Well, you're designed to eat it, and really you should be somewhere between 30 and 70% of your plate should be protein. Sounds a lot, 30 and 70%. There's some protein in there, 30%. There's a lot of protein in there when it's 70%. Personally, I'm about a 50-50. I maybe a bit more, but I prefer half my plate to be protein. How did I find that out? I tried things out, and I originally, before I became a trainer about 15 years ago, was eating a pretty poor diet. I was eating lots of carbohydrates, lots of breads, lots of pastas, lots of sweet stuff and things like that. And when I got a little bit more educated and got a little bit more trained and tried things myself, realized that my energy levels and my focus and my kind of sleep and day-to-day activity all improved because I improved the amount of protein I was putting into my system. It gave me more energy, it gave me more focus, and I just felt like a different person. When I upped that from where I was probably on about 20% maximum of crap protein as well. It probably wasn't the greatest protein in the world, probably a few horrible meats and reformed stuff, which I might just mention later on, and microwave things. It wasn't the best type of meat. So when I did do that swap all those years ago, it really worked, and it really worked almost overnight. I'm not joking. Almost overnight, I felt a distinct difference in how I felt and my energy. So it's worth listening to that and making a change and get that protein on your plate, including breakfast if you can. Including breakfast. Eggs are a good source of protein for breakfast. I know it's, again, some trainers may disagree that it's not the most ideal thing, but we're keeping it simple. So it's just some protein on your plate for breakfast. I have salmon in the morning, some organic salmon, which I really like, and gives me a lot of energy. Okay, just on the back end of that protein subject, avoid the rubbish stuff. Avoid protein that is, you know, in a microwave meal or a reformed meat. If you don't know what reformed meat is, you see it in the supermarket shelves, you get a packet of chicken or whatever it might be, and it will say on it, reformed. And reformed means it's been mashed together from all sorts of other different animals and different, the same animal species, but all different ones and all mashed together because they're using the last bits of it all. And it's just crap. And it's no good for you. And it's been through a lot of processes to get on your plate. So avoid if you possibly can. Moving on. Trying to keep it quick. Fresh fruit, vegetables, lots of colours, get them on your plate. So we talked about 30 to 70% with the protein. What's the rest of the plate? Fresh fruit, well, maybe not fruit on that plate, but vegetables, organic if you can. Raw stuff is great. Again, it's not to everyone's taste, but if you can eat some raw vegetables in there, it's great for your digestive system. And again, lots of colours, like I said, reds, yellows, greens, get them all on there, they're great for you. Organic is best. It's not a myth, it's not a marketing scam. Organic has less pesticides on it, it's better quality, and you might pay a little bit more for it, but so you should. You're putting it inside your system, you're putting it into your body. You should be paying more for it. So vegetables, fruit, get them on your plate. Grains, tricky one. You can have some grains. This is where people start to go a bit overboard with breads and cereals, sugars, things like that, where you really got too much on this kind of stuff. That's what's really going to hit you hard, storing fat and spiking your energy levels too high and then dropping you down low. So, in the afternoon between 12 and 5, you're tired and you need a coffee or, you need something else to eat. And that's because you're having too much carbohydrate, specifically probably grains, and your energy levels have spiked and then dropped and you need something else. So it's a nasty little kind of graph that starts being made, and it's no good, which means you consume more, which isn't good either. So a good way to stop that is by eating more protein and slowing the whole process down. So grains, some great grains are corn, rice, wholemeal rice if you can, buckwheat, millet is another good one. But again, if you can try and avoid the rubbish stuff, the white devils, sugar, flour, things like that, then do. So grains, you can have some, but again, listen to your body. If your body tells you that you're feeling okay, if your body tells you that you're able to digest what you're doing, it gives you energy, then fine. If it doesn't, and you feel a little bit off and you feel a little bit lethargic and you feel a little bit tired, then it's not working for you. So again, reiterating, listen to your body. Now's a great time to get in touch with it and listen. Okay, moving on again. Again, I'm trying to keep it as quick as I possibly can. Big subject, nutrition. Dairy. Dairy, again, I have some dairy in my diet. I have the occasional milk, although not much. Butter, I have butter. We cook with butter, which is great. Yogurt now and again. I'm not a big fan of yogurt, so I don't really have that too much. And it works okay for me. If you have too much dairy, again, very much like the grains, and it's not working for you, you've tummy problems or gas or difficulty in digesting, then it's not for you. The trick is to find out if it is, and you may have to deny yourself dairy or grains for that matter for a couple of weeks, see how you feel. Then go back to them. If when you go back to them they really start to cause a problem with pain or digestion or energy, they're not for you. So a simple little test you can do is to cleanse your body of something and then maybe try it again to see if it really has an effect on you. It's difficult to do because I'm telling you to stop eating something for a period of time, and most people can't do that. If it doesn't make you feel good, then it's making you feel bad, so you should stop eating it. Okay. Dairy, processed. Dairy is used in a lot of processed foods as well. So again, if something's processed, it's gone through a process. Simple. If it's gone through a process, it's a processed food. So milk, if you get whole milk, that's less processed than your green tops and your red tops, which have gone through a further process. It's processed food. It's crap. So don't have it. Your best form of milk, if you are going to have milk, is raw milk. But again, difficult finding raw milk. There's certain laws in place about quality and safety of raw milk. So look into that before you start getting it. Farm shops are great. We use quite a lot of farm shops for things like that. So again, dairy, in a very brief nutshell, covered. But again, same message. If it works for you, have it in moderation. If it doesn't, cut it out. Fats and oils. Fats, there's that word, the F word, fat. Fat does not make you fat. You need fat in your system. You need fat in your diet. Now, a lot of people cook with oils, obviously, and add them to all sorts of different kind of foods and recipes that they have. So, again, good sources of fats are things like olive oil, coconut oil. They're great. Again, I mentioned butter before. When I cook, I generally cook with some good raw butter, which is great. Avocados, nuts are good. Good sources of fat. Not roasted, chili covered peanuts from the supermarket. If it's roasted, it's not right. So as organic again as you possibly, there's that word again, organic as you possibly can, as less messed with as you possibly can. Great source of fats. A, for cooking, B, for a few snacks. You need them in your system. Okay. So protein, grains, dairy, fats and oils. There's lots of other things we could go through. There's lots of other types of food and breaking them down further. I'm not going to do that today because of time. What I am going to talk to you about is how much of this should you be eating. And it's a lot simpler than you might think. And, some people weigh the food, some people just use the size of a plate as how much you should have, which both got their own difficulties. Weighing your food means it's a little bit intense and you've got to really be on it and you've got to really carry a set of weighing scales to a restaurant with you, which isn't really practical. And going judging on the size of a plate is even, it's awful because your plate could be huge and you finish what's on your plate. That's not necessarily the right thing to do. The best piece of advice I can possibly give you is your hands. Your hands. The human body is this fantastic thing, and the size of your hands is a direct correlation to the size of your stomach. My hands are bigger than my wife's hands, bigger than my daughter's hands, and that's a reason, because I'm a bigger person and I can eat and consume more food with the size of these hands. Now, really, some people say a fist size, about the size of your stomach. If that's so, then a bowl full of food, small bowl full of food, or, again, judging by your hands, is probably sufficient for you to have to keep yourself fit, healthy, and keep your energies high in the proportions that I was talking about right at the beginning. 30 to 70% protein, vegetables, a little bit of grain. So use that little trick. It's a great one because it's true. Use your hands for size. Now, how much should you be eating throughout the day? We're talking between 4 and 6 meals a day, really, if you're using your hands as a barometer of how much you should be eating. If you save, 5 hands full of food for your evening meal, and the rest of the day is half a handful, then that's not going to be great because you're eating way too much food way too late in the day. It needs to be spread throughout the day, nice and evenly. And realistically, the biggest meal you should have, and you all know it, is your breakfast. And that should set you off in the morning. A good couple of hands full of food in the morning to set you off. Your snacks can be 1 handful or half a handful even. But your main meals should be a couple of handfuls of food. And remember, breakfast, lunch, dinner, evening meal, whatever you want to call it, is really those times that were those 3 meals a day was an invention of the Industrial Revolution. It was only put in place because workers were working too hard without a break in all these mills and factories, and the owners many years ago, hundreds of years ago, decided to put breaks in to stop people from eating, from not eating enough and collapsing on the shop floor. So, it's just an invention. Eat when you're hungry, but if you do it in these proportions and you do it in these kind of things that I've talked about, then you should be fine. Okay. Lastly, very quickly, things to avoid. Avoid salt, excess salt, crisps, snacks, things like that. Obviously, too many kills the system, no good for you. Avoid alcohol as much as you want, which is easier said than done. You have to leave it to a specific time if you're going to have a drink, weekend, as I said in one of the earlier vlogs, and just keep it to a minimum. It's dead calories. You don't need it in your system, and it has very little nutritional value at all. Sugar, excess sugar. Talked about that just a couple of minutes ago. You don't need it in your system in the levels that people are getting it in. The sweets and the high sugared stuff usually is wanted by the body because you've not had enough protein throughout the day. The protein in the start of the day and in the middle of the day will combat you having too much sugar and storing more fat. Simple, isn't it? I know it's a complicated subject and there's a lot more to go at. I'm on 16 minutes. I can talk, can't I? 16 minutes. So we'll try and compress this down and we'll post this and see how you get on with it. Any questions, as I mentioned before, contact us at info@ainsworthbodyscience.co.uk and check out the Facebook page we've set up, which is called Beat the Virus, Ainsworth Body Science, and see if we can help on there. Plenty of stuff going on there and some good recipes and things like that. So hopefully this helps. I will be back again later in the week to talk about probably a little bit more about nutrition and putting a little bit more meat on the bones on that one. See you soon.